Yeah, I think it's also the nature of people who are really young, like in their late teens, early 20s. I feel like what I've seen consistent is people who are raised in certain environments who don't have a lot of money, don't have the means to survive necessarily. They sort of gravitate towards the easier way to make money. Like a young girl could gravitate towards a strip club or porn, or a young guy like you in his early 20s, if you were in the perfect environment, you were in Miami and there was cocaine dealers everywhere. That's a really easy way to make money quick. So a lot of young people gravitate towards those, you know, the quick money when they're younger, I think.
Well, I think it's, I don't know if it's the quick money, because it's not easy money by no means, but I just think it's survival. You know, survival. Yeah, people want to make, you know, everybody wants to be rich, right? Nobody wants to be poor. And especially when in our Latino communities, right? In the Latinos, we look at soccer players. They're our idols, right? And, you know, Ronaldo, and they make millions and millions of dollars. Yeah. African-American, they look at LeBron. They look at all this, Michael Jordan. They want to be like them. Or they want, that's why every kid wants to be a rapper or music, but they're not going to be. But every kid can be educated and have unbelievable potential and become a Ben Carson. Or they can become a Barack Obama. You know, what's the difference? They were all raised poor. You know the difference? Somebody believed in them. Somebody invested in them. So my message to my colored community is, instead of burning down our nation, let's go back and burn our communities with education, with love. Instead of letting those kids kill over $125 pair of LeBron James shoes, do like LeBron James. Go back and talk to those kids and help those kids. Listen. With the money you make, if you just spend $20, $30 million like LeBron, you don't have to sell a Ferrari. You don't have to sell none of that. Trust me, I know. You don't have. You're still going to live a hell of a good life, but you're going to change a lot of people's lives, right? But what happens with our colored communities, you know, Latinos and African American? When we make it, what's the first thing we do? We get the hell out, and where do we go? We go to the white community who we have criticized all our lives,
right?
You know, so we got to recreate our communities. So back to the story. So
you were 21 years old and you were
I was 10, and I worked very hard, right? Because my father, like I told you, my father was a man very proud, would never take no money, you know. And I delivered newspapers, I cut grass. I was a father and a mother to my children, my brothers and sisters. I had to take them 10 blocks to school, come rain, come shine, come heat in Miami.
Yeah,
and but it was the greatest days of our life because we were united as a family. We were struggled together. I said when people struggle together, they get closer together. And I had a life plan planned. I mean, my life was set in my mind. 3 days after I came from Cuba, my cousin comes by, and he has a candy apple red GTO convertible with white interior. And I'm like, damn, I never seen something that beautiful. Say, the day I have that, I'm going to be somebody. So I was focused. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to work. I'm going to get out of college at 20. I'm going to get out of law school at 23, 24. I'm going to be a millionaire at 30. That's my plan. And it doesn't matter what. At the age of 17, I became the youngest employee in the Federal Reserve Bank in Miami. And I worked full-time at the Federal Reserve Bank, and I went to University of Miami at night full-time.
Wow.
I had no life for 3.5 years, right? No life. I got up at 5:30 in the morning. I was at the bank at 6:30. I got home at 3:45, 4 o'clock. I had my mother had dinner for me. I'd be at school at 5 till 10. I come home and study till 2 o'clock and sleep 3 hours, and that's it. That was my whole life. Because I graduated top of my class. Because I always felt that the person that comes in second place is actually the first loser. So I didn't like to lose. So I always want to be first. And then when I'm about to graduate from University of Miami, now, here's a kid. If you look in the dictionary at that time, when I was 20, for the word nerd, it definitely had my picture in it. I mean, I had braces, glasses. I dressed like a nerd. I drove an old beat-up Chevy Vega with a big old rust hole in the side. And my accounting professor asked me, he had moved from Michigan, and he was a partner of Price & Waterhouse and didn't speak Spanish in Miami. He said, hey, you want to come work for my office? And if you come and just do my Spanish clients, I'll give you a secretary, an office space. You can start your own business. To me, that was like the first sign of God, right? Because it's like, that's the other thing. When I left at 10 in that airport in Miami, I made a decision. God ain't real. This is all bullshit. My mom is crazy. Because if we're going to America to worship God freely, and we're going from wealth to poverty, where's God, right? Like we do a lot of times.
Yeah.
So, and I lived my life like that. But never did alcohol. All the alcohol I did in my life by the age of 21 fit in a little teacup. Never smoked. Never sold drugs in my life. Worked full time. I remember I had this girlfriend. We'd go to a party, and you know, in the 70s, it was everybody smoking marijuana.
Yeah.
And I smell it, and I leave. And she's like, but we're not doing it. I said, I don't care. I'm a federal employee. I can't be around these people. They're losers. I'm going somewhere in life.
Right.
I can't ruin my career over nothing. And that's how I live.
Uh-huh.
And so I went to do the clients for my professor. And I'm like, okay. He said, I got this client who's a little grocery store, you know. And he said, he'll pay us $1,000 a month. Now, at that time, I made big money at the Federal Reserve Bank. I think minimum wage was like maybe $1. I was making $3.50 an hour, 3.5 times minimum wage. You know, I had a mid-level management salary. I was living, I thought it was big. So, you know, $3.50 an hour, I was taking home $120. And all of a sudden, I get paid $1,000 to go to this grocery store and do their books for 3 hours every Monday. Man.
Of course.
It's like,
No question.
I'm on my way. So I go there in the first, and literally, it was about the width of this room and about maybe like a little strip in a strip shopping center, right?
Okay.
You know how those little stores. And I go into the back office. This is 1976. And, man, I see a grocery bag with $100,000. Didn't think nothing about it. I'm like, man. It must be, since they never had an accountant or never set up their books, must be all their sales. They haven't deposited them. You know, here it is.
Was it your job to count it?
Right. Well, I'm the accountant, right? I'm setting up the whole accounting.
Okay.
I got to do the bank deposits. I got to do their payroll. I got to do the whole deal. $100,000. Wow. So I left, didn't think nothing about it. Came back next week, $75,000. Now I start thinking, you know, wow, how can this store make so much? Impossible. The third week, I go there and there's another 100, 110, and there's all the receipts of what they had purchased for the month, and it added up to like, I don't know, $800 to $2,000, something like that. And I'm like, no, I got to talk to these people. So I called them in, and I'm like, hey, bro, let me give you a small accounting lesson. In accounting, we buy that can of Campbell's soups for $1, and if we sell it for $3, we got $2 profit. Now, I've counted this month over $300,000. That means that if you're making triple on everything you sell, you must have spent $100,000 to buy all this.
Right.
But all I see is like less than $2,000. Doesn't add up. Even up to the point, never thought, nothing wrong with that. And he laughs. And he's like, we're not in the grocery business. We're drug dealers. I'm like, holy shit, a drug dealer. And I didn't even know what the hell that was, right? Because in high school, all we knew about, you know, kids took pills, you know, uppers and downers.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? And so imagine this freaking nerd all of a sudden find out. And he said, look, George, you work for the federal government. You know how to open foreign bank accounts, don't you? Mm-hmm. I said, yeah, I do. And he's like, well, how much? Well, I knew that it cost about $700 in Grand Cayman. And, of course, I didn't want to get involved in nothing. I was happy with my $1,000 a month.
Right.
You know, and 3 other clients, I was making $3,000 a month. Doing the Spanish clients, I was like in heaven. And I'm like, about $10,000. I want to give a number that they'll just walk away. He said,
You told him it was $10,000?
Yeah. I said, it costs about $10,000. He said, okay, we need you to open 3. And I'm like, what? 3? Damn. So I left. I acted like very, very serious and all that. I said, look, I can't travel for the next 3 or 4 weeks. I figured, and this is how much time I need to figure out who the hell I can find. We knew it because in the Federal Reserve Bank, we had busted in an audit a bank. This guy owned 3 banks, and he had taken like $3.5 million, which in the 70s, that's like $50 million. And when that note became due, he'd have another bank in Grand Cayman, number bank, pay that loan. Right? And he kept it like that for years. When the reason they got caught was when the Federal Reserve Bank went to audit, his secretary went home the Friday early, and she forgot to make the entry. It was sitting on her desk, and they come in, and that's the first thing they went to look for. They probably would never caught it. Anyway, so, but I did, and I went and opened those bank accounts for him, and I was like, I thought I was the richest man in the world. I made like 27 grand. And then one day, he comes and he tells me, and this all happened within 6 months. He comes and said, my partners would like to talk to you. They want to start a business. And I'm like, okay.